Let's start with the numbers. By early 2026, Cursor had secured a dominant position in the developer market, hitting $3 billion in annual revenue. They built the interface that 67% of the Fortune 500 uses to write software. But right beneath that massive scale is a fatal vulnerability. Cursor is an incredibly effective interface, but it is strictly an interface. The company does not own or develop the core foundation models powering its platform. Instead, it operates entirely by renting access to upstream large language models via API, specifically relying on systems built by OpenAI and Anthropic. This strict reliance creates a structural trap. Every time Cursor adds a new enterprise client or processes a complex coding task, it inadvertently provides the data and capital necessary to train its own direct competitors. It is a subsidy paradox. To break this cycle, Cursor agreed to a disruptive acquisition by SpaceX, integrating its operations directly with the company's XAI division and its Grok models. The acquisition functions as a calculated maneuver to reroute the underlying economics and telemetry pipelines of the artificial intelligence stack. To understand why this merger is necessary, we have to discard historical assumptions about how tech monopolies actually exert their power. This diagram illustrates the architecture of the AI coding market, separated into two functional tiers. The top half is the upstream tier. These massive foundation models, like OpenAI's GPT and Anthropic's Claude, provide the raw computational intelligence. The bottom half is the downstream tier. These IDEs provide the actual interface and workflow for developers, with Cursor as the undisputed leader. Notice the overlap. Companies providing upstream models also maintain their own downstream interfaces, like Claude Code and GitHub Copilot. Cursor commands the downstream market, but is forced to purchase its raw materials from the exact companies trying to build native products to replace it. In traditional tech markets, we are used to a specific direction of data flow, dictated by legacy platform monopolies. Think of Amazon Marketplace. Amazon owns the downstream retail interface, using that position to observe transaction data of independent third-party merchants selling on its site. Amazon then leverages that downward flow of intelligence to manufacture its own generic equivalents, competing directly against the merchants who discovered the profitable markets. This visual compares that traditional platform dynamic to the AI coding market. Notice that the fundamental law of data gravity is completely reversed. In the AI stack, Cursor owns the downstream interface and controls the primary relationship with developers. However, because processing power lives in the upstream APIs, every complex user action is forced to flow upward into the supplier's servers. The telemetry transmitted upstream contains complex multi-file context arrangements, precise prompt refinement patterns, and exact accept or reject rates for generated code. Legacy monopolies siphon data downward from small suppliers to build cheap knockoffs. The AI market features integrated upstream giants siphoning elite telemetry upward from the dominant downstream innovator. This upward telemetry creates an inescapable two-part structural trap for independent AI tools. First is the capital subsidy. To function, Cursor must route massive API inference fees upward to integrated suppliers. That revenue stream directly finances the billions of dollars OpenAI and Anthropic require to train their next generation of foundation models. Second is the data subsidy. By passing high-value telemetry upstream, Cursor functions as a self-funding R&D laboratory. The incumbents ingest this behavioral data to sharpen their own native downstream interfaces, pushing those direct competitors right back into Cursor's market. This creates a severe chilling effect on product innovation. Cursor is actively penalized for improving its own user experience. If Cursor invents a better prompting technique or efficient context window, that intelligence instantly flows upward, optimizing the core models powering its direct rivals. The company is caught in a closed loop. It cannot scale its enterprise contracts or improve its product without simultaneously accelerating the technical velocity of the companies trying to replace it. An acquisition of this size requires formal notification and review by regulators under the Hart-Scott-Rodino Act. Historically, authorities analyze these transactions using a framework known as vertical foreclosure, relying on baselines established by legacy media and telecom mergers. In a standard vertical foreclosure scenario, A dominant upstream supplier acquires a downstream firm specifically to cut off its rival's access to essential inputs, or artificially inflate their costs. But this comparative chart illustrates why that legacy framework fails here. SpaceX and its XAI division do not possess upstream monopoly power. Grok is merely an emerging challenger, integrating with a strong downstream leader. Prior to the acquisition, the genuine threat to market competition wasn't this merger. It was the immense hold-up power and data leverage that the integrated incumbents exerted over an independent innovator. If regulators block this deal based on outdated economic models, they are legally forcing an independent platform to remain trapped in a continuous cycle of financing and training in integrated monopoly. Looking at the post-merger model on the right, we can see exactly how this integration resolves the structural trap. By merging with an independent model provider, the new SpaceX Cursor entity creates a closed, highly efficient loop. This triggers several immediate efficiencies. First, it eliminates the external API markups paid to third parties, drastically reducing inference costs and allowing for lower enterprise subscription rates. Second, it enables deep performance optimization. Co-engineering the foundation model alongside the developer interface allows for native adjustments tailored specifically to manage massive, multi-repository codebases without execution latency. Finally, breaking the inverted data siphon means Cursor can aggressively invest in highly specialized user experiences and prompting mechanics without the constant fear of leaking its proprietary R&D upstream. The combined entity secures an independent pipeline for downstream innovation while simultaneously scaling Grok's real-world inference volume to competitive levels. In the AI era, survival requires moving past static supply chain economics. The SpaceX Cursor deal establishes a powerful new technical precedent for breaking data dependencies and escaping the incumbent monopoly trap.
For the deep dive economic analysis behind these stories, join us at EconWorks.com. Subscribe to stay informed on where law and economics meet the market. We'll see you in the next episode.